In a significant development in the world of football, Manchester City has initiated a new legal challenge against the Premier League, specifically targeting the recently amended rules governing sponsorship deals. The club asserts that these new regulations are void and lacks legal standing. This move comes on the heels of a previous ruling by an independent arbitration panel, which found certain aspects of the Premier League's associated party transaction regulations, commonly referred to as APTs, to be unlawful. This earlier ruling was a result of a lawsuit initiated by Manchester City itself, highlighting the ongoing tensions between the club and the league. The APT regulations were originally established by the Premier League to prevent football clubs from benefiting financially from commercial agreements with companies that are closely linked to their owners, particularly when these deals are perceived to exceed fair market value. This regulatory framework was intended to ensure a level playing field among clubs and to maintain the integrity of the league. In November of the previous year, a majority of clubs in the top flight voted in favor of amendments to these APTs. However, Manchester City stood in opposition to these changes, arguing that the amendments would undermine the legal principles established by the earlier arbitration ruling. Following this vote, Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters communicated with the clubs, confirming that Manchester City had begun further arbitration on January 20, 2025, to challenge the legality of the amendments that had been approved at the shareholders' meeting in November 2024. City's legal representatives are seeking a declaration that these new amendments, and by extension the current APT rules, are unlawful and void. The Premier League, on the other hand, maintains a strong stance, asserting that the changes made in November were lawful and compliant with all requirements of competition law. In an effort to expedite the resolution of this new arbitration, the Premier League has proposed that the same tribunal that handled the previous case be appointed to hear this new challenge. Currently, both parties are engaged in correspondence regarding further procedural directions. The ongoing legal battle between Manchester City and the Premier League has already incurred substantial costs, running into millions of pounds in legal fees for both sides. Last year, a tribunal ruled that low-interest loans from shareholders could not be excluded from the scope of the APTs, and it was determined that the changes aimed at tightening the regulations violated competition law. In light of this ruling, Manchester City criticized the Premier League's claims that the regulations could be amended swiftly, warning of potential further legal action should there be a knee-jerk reaction to the ruling. City's management has expressed concerns that the proposed changes would create a retrospective exemption for shareholder loans, a situation that was previously deemed illegal by the arbitration panel. The club has insisted that any vote on changes to the rules should be postponed until after further determinations are made by the panel. Despite the objections raised by Manchester City and other clubs, including Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, and Aston Villa, the Premier League proceeded with the vote on the amendments. Both Manchester City and the Premier League recently attended a two-day hearing to present their submissions regarding the implications of the original ruling, and the panel is currently deliberating on the matter. This latest legal challenge is just one chapter in a long-running saga that has significant implications for both parties. Manchester City is also awaiting the results of a landmark disciplinary hearing, where they face over 100 alleged breaches of financial rules. The club has consistently denied any wrongdoing throughout this process. As the situation unfolds, it is noteworthy that this legal confrontation comes just days before the top-flight clubs are set to convene for their first shareholder meeting of 2025 in London. As of now, both Manchester City and the Premier League have chosen not to comment publicly on the ongoing legal proceedings, leaving fans and observers eager for updates on this high-stakes legal drama in English football.